Greetings, brothers and sisters. I'm Professor Spira, and I wanted to share a video with you that I saw, a quite disturbing video. I wanted to talk about it a little bit. Something called Cannulated Animals, and it's a video that's going viral right now on Facebook, Cannulated Cow. And I think I'd seen some of this kind of thing in the past, but it's one of those things that's just so bizarre and kind of strikes you in the face as like, what are we doing as human beings? What I mean, you're at a loss for words. Without any further ado, it's a very short little clip of this video, so I'll show that and then we will continue our discussion. Okay, so what's interesting is then if you go to Facebook, there are, people, well, of course, a lot of folks are talking about this, and there was a guy that I guess is a veterinarian or something that was trying to give a little history of it and defend the practice, so I thought I would actually read a little bit of this. He said, this gentleman on here on Facebook, this is a cannulated cow. The practice can be traced back to as early as the 1920s. This video is from the Grange Neuve, Switzerland. No, I messed that up. In February of this year, where they have 14 cows fitted with cannulas in their sides. The cannula acts like a porthole and gives direct access to the cow's rumen. This allows extensive research and analysis of the digestive system of a cow for medical and nutritional purposes. Oh, well, isn't that nice? You would think that by having an opening in their side would allow outside microbes to enter and infect the cows, but with there being such a numerous presence of natural microbes already in the rumen, the new microbes cannot compete for nutrients to survive. Because these cows are so healthy, some farmers keep a cannulated cow on the farm to help improve the health of the other animals in the herd. Basically, the cannulated cows serve as a rumen fluid donor to sick animals. This is done by extracting rumen fluid contents from the cannulated cow and feeding it to the sick cow. Well, that's so nice. The microorganisms in the fluid multiply and take the place of the bad organisms in the sick cow and make the cow healthy again. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Praise humans for creating such a wonderful, wonderful process to help ailing animals. I shared this on the thread. Animal killers do not know that in the future the animal will have a body suitable to kill them. That is the law of nature. That's from the Bhagavad Gita. And yeah, this is I don't know, I always thought this was a great in this particular version of the Bhagavad Gita. There's some pretty interesting not photographs but paintings in the back, or in maybe it's not in the back, but it's in the book. And they a couple of them have to do with diet and sort of the karma involved, you know, conceptually coming from that way of thinking. Of course, in the Mucusless diet, a lot of practitioners examine the so-called theories of evolution and kind of believe that it's actually backwards, and that humans are in the process of eating themselves down into lower beings. Therefore, this would be more of a scientific kind of fact than a than a conceptual sort of, you know, something connected to spiritualism or religious concept. But anyway, I felt compelled to say something about this this insanity. We can look at some of these pictures. I mean, it's here's the thing. You just don't put a hole in an animal. Period. I mean, what else do I have to say? You don't do that. You don't put a hole in an animal and then go inside fishing around trying to, you know, see what you can get, and then feed its innards to other animals, take its partially digested plant matter, and then because it's supposed to have good bacteria in it, you're gonna feed that to some other animals. I have to release. I made a very, very potent video that was really too hot for YouTube. There's some stuff I create, it's a little too aggressive or too hardcore that I think, you know, for people to handle, because you know, when I really got started with the diet, I kind of was always in that hardcore mode, and it turns people off if they're not ready. And so at that time, that was fine because I wasn't trying to necessarily promote the diet wide, you know, as far and wide as I am now. But it's a video on, I basically do a connection between psychopathism, or just the inability to, because that word, you know, sociopath, psychopath, those words aren't really used clinically anymore, but they point to a reality, you know, sort of a stomach disorder, as Brother Air might say, in which a person is unable to experience empathy for other sentient beings. You know, and of course, movies, there's all the some of the greatest characters that everybody loves. They're always, you know, the psychopath, there's a sociopath, you know, the person that is free of emotion but can act so, because they've been able to study social conventions and body language, they are able to evoke the emotions in others in order to control them. And at the same time, because they really can't feel, it's not that it's not that they don't want to, they just can't, you know. And then you get the ones that, in a pursuit of trying to feel something, they go and they slaughter things, and they you know, harm animals and people, and, you know, and all that kind of stuff. But what the theory that I like to use for that is that we're all basically psychopaths on some level. It's not a question of, are we psychopathic? What range? You know, there's a large range, and you could be, you know, between 1 and 100%. You might, maybe you're 70%. empathetic, but in order to survive in this world, we can't be 100%. I mean, there's groups of people in the world, like I would maybe look at maybe some Jain monks or something with, folks that walk around and make sure they don't step on any insects, and before they sit down they wipe the seat wherever they're going to sit to make sure that there's no they're not going to harm anything. These are sort of like hyper empathetic, conscious beings, people that are real, so that's now you're getting up into the 100% tile kind of level with them. Most people, when you get into your meat eaters and that kind of stuff, again, there's a cutoff, because there's an inability to feel the empathy for what you're doing. And I was right there. That's why I say I don't accuse anybody, or it's not a judgment, because I'm talking about myself included. So when I was a meat eater, I did, it was, the question is, once you become aware of what you're doing, once you become aware of the fact that you're eating something that was living, that's not, and it's not supposed to be like that, at least not for the human species, then that's when it's like, okay, well, are you empathetic or not? And that's where a lot of people, just knowing that, they will stop eating meat. But because, with all the people that are making arguments about this, like, well, this is good, we can take this out and feed the innards to the other animals, but that's not helping them. If you want to help these animals, let them go. Let them run free and let them live in nature. They can live on a countryside. They don't need to be owned by humans. They're not going to hurt us if we just have some cows walking around. I got deer and raccoon and everything else that live around me. They don't hurt anybody. So why can't we, if that's the most sociopathic, psychopathic concept, when people start saying, well, these animals, they need to be eaten. They'll overpopulate it's like, you got to be such an ignorant, unempathetic person to have that type of, because I didn't, even when I ate meat, I wouldn't have thought like, I didn't think like that. Like, oh, well, I basically just, my whole thing was, I was prepared to kill the animal, like I was, and I feel like if you're going to eat meat, it's like, all right, but are you prepared to kill that animal? And I was, before the mucusless diet. I basically had that attitude. The mucusless diet is what can be so transformative on one's consciousness, and that is the thing that, like, a lot of the PETA folks and the and the real kind of hardcore animal rights activists, they miss that part of it. That not everybody is gonna respond to, and because if you're dealing with sociopaths that are people that are sociopathic on this particular issue, you're not going to wake them up. You're not going to wake them up. Some of them you might wake up, but you're not going to communicate with them when their entire body is encumbered with pus and mucus. Now, as you start to remove the pus, you start to remove the mucus slowly out of the diet, get some serious lemon juice enemas going in there, their ability to empathize with other beings will transform tremendously. And if you're already empathetic, your thing will skyrocket, into a whole different level of being able to perceive the emotions and feelings of other beings around you. It's remarkable. It's something, and we don't talk about it a whole lot because it's kind of, it's I don't know. It's we talk about like the emotional healing and detox and all that kind of stuff. But this is for those of us that come to the diet that aren't necessarily already empathic. and then you get into it, that's another aspect of the diet, is this deep ability to feel empathy. Now, I will address this issue because, especially in kind of the elephant in the room within the context of some of these race issues and African American stuff, there's a lot of folks that look at a lot of the PETA kind of folks and the hardcore animal rights activists and say a lot and believe that a lot of those folks would not are not interested in issues of like police brutality, specifically, when police slaughter young black unarmed children. There's not the same outrage among a lot of the ranks of some of the folks, and this is just some of them, than there are in other places. And this has always been a dream of mine, was to try and bring these progressive movements together. Several years ago, I was a community organizer and dealt with a lot of different issues, and I saw that there was a thread that ran through from the animal rights to the Black Lives Matter, what's now called the Black Lives Matter, the new civil rights movement, gender inequality, supporters of survivors of rape. For me, it's about balance. So for me, if you're going to sort of fashion yourself as an activist, then you should have a diversity of causes that you will show up for. Now you might be on the board of Mercy for Animals or PETA, but you should also show up for the Black Lives Matter. You should also show up for if there's Native American protest or Latino protest, or I was one of the few men. There was like 6 or 7 of us in a big protest of survivors of rape, and the one thing that I saw that ran through all of these movements is hate. That the one thing that we can all agree on is that we are against hatred on all levels, whether it's perceived to be hatred or not. And like I said, the one thing that a sociopathic type of personality is able to do is really rationalize what they do, and make it seem wholesome and good. Like, this is like, when did this get so normal that we could just bring our kids in and like, let's go on a field trip, we're going to the farm, we're gonna reach into this animal, it's gonna be fun, you wanna play with the animal's feces, good, clean, all-American fun. Yay for feces and animals with holes in them. I mean, I don't know. This kind of stuff gets me, and it's you have to take these moments because there's so much just pus and mucus, man. I mean, that's all this is about, man. This is about pus and mucus and the society that pus and mucus creates. And this is the underbelly. See, people don't like to look like I say in other videos, I pretty much stay here because it does, like, I never lose. Like, no matter how out there that I might get in terms of some fasting, sometimes you can get into some out-of-body experiences where you totally leave everything behind, but the consciousness never goes. Once you plug into a certain level of consciousness, it's not about ignoring, it's not about ignorance, or it's not about like you trying to, that you think you can transcend all of this mentally yet not really deal with the ramifications. See, you got to understand, most of us at some point in our life did eat meat, and most of us have ancestors that did eat meat. So when we're laying down, going through an elimination, going through a healing crisis, going through some kind of chronic illness, and we think that we shouldn't be because we've been meat-free for the past 10 or 15 years, we got to think a little deeper and understand that we have hell to pay. I mean, and it's going to be done physiologically. For those of us that choose this path, the hell is going to be paid physiologically. But on one hand, where you have, for every bit of sort of pain and suffering that you go through as a result of what people call detoxification or regeneration, you're going to have like 10 experiences that are just transcendental and just feeling wonderful, and basically feeling how you will feel once you burn off all of this karma, all this we call physiological karma. And it's basically, it's not a religious concept of karma. It's if anything, it's more of a scientific cause and effect. But because we don't yet understand the direct cause and effect in the way that science actually works, and when it comes to an ancestry of living outside of natural laws, until, like, if we can decode that, then we would be able to understand the length of time it would take for a particular person. Not all people, but we would have to take each person individually, analyze their stomach, analyze the quantity of mucus that they consumed in their life, analyze the quantity of mucus and pus that their ancestors consumed. This stuff is quantifiable, and scientists, if they put their attention in these directions, this is where science could be very beneficial to us in better understanding the details of our transition. The quantity, to put things into perspective. I mean, I would love to see that kind of analysis. We're so far away from that because everybody is into these chemistry isolationist theories and all this kind of, the nutrition theories and these calorie theories and all this kind of stuff. I want to see somebody quantify the amount of pus that you've eaten in your life. Estimate it. Do some calculus and figure out what's the quantity, how many gallons, how many hundreds of gallons, how many thousands of gallons. I don't know, because math is not my forte. If somebody that's good at math, you could actually probably sit down and quantify some of these things, and that would be very helpful for those of us to put things in, if anything, just to put things into perspective about the work that we have to do. But just because you're not putting these holes in the animal doesn't mean that you don't get a karmic kickback, because we're on this earth together. So now I know, and from my experience, I've seen that some of the most powerful change that can take place in terms of the entire world is when you fast, when you eat fruit, when you start to get yourself together, clean yourself up. That starts to change the world around you. And if enough of us are doing that, then all of this stuff can change. But we're still in this moment, this historical moment, where we have to do both. We have to speak truth to ignorance, and we also have to fast and get ourselves together and really focus on cleaning ourselves up. And so with that said, I think I don't know, that video just got to me. I just really was like, we gotta do something about this. We gotta get ourselves together. I mean, this happens all the time too with the of course, there's all the police brutality videos that come out. I mean, you can just pick. I mean, there's so much stuff. I mean, we could go on here on this Google Pictures and just look at insane stuff all day. But it's really just about if anything, finding things to let us know. Sometimes those of us on this path of the mucusless diet, we have to see things and talk about things that let us know we're not crazy, because the pus and mucus eaters around us are trying to convince us that we're crazy, and they think we're crazy, and sometimes they have us thinking we're crazy. But that's when I'm like, well, wait a minute, because all I'm talking about is eating some fruit, eating a few salads, doing some enemas. So that's crazy. But reaching your hand into an animal and taking out its partially digested feces and feeding it to other animals as a part of an agricultural... Come on, man. Yeah, I dare somebody to cut. Next time someone tries to, call me crazy, it's like, here, well, if this is normal and I'm crazy, then I am crazy, because I don't want to have nothing to do with this at all. This is just too, man. All right. let me stop. Why is it so? There's no age where I would have been able to do this. Even psychopath. I mean, I wasn't that psychopath. I wouldn't have been able to do this. No. There's no way. There is no time in my history when I would have been able to do that, It's just, and the whole thing is, take eating the animals out of the equation. Then they don't even care about it. They wouldn't be putting all these holes at like just general veterinary, because that's the other argument. Is, oh, well, it's, it's veterinary practice and it's good for the animals. No, because you still killing the animals. I don't know. I just want to give this cow a hug and just be like, man, like, I'm sorry this happened to you. Like, I really am. Oh, man. So, all right. Until next time, peace, love, and breath.